Welcome back. This is page 3. So let's take a look at that. 8, 9, and 10 on this one. Okay, again, we have to find X, Y, and Z. So let's see if we can get this thing functional. All right, X is an angle. So let's forget about what we have as far as Y and Z goes. Let's figure out what X equals. Now, it's important that you actually study the figure a great deal before you start using tools, because you could make very easy, simple work of this. If you notice that I know 2 of the 3 angles already, so I can easily get X just by doing this. Triangle sum theorem, 180 minus 90 minus 60 equals 30. So now I know that X equals 30 degrees. Now that is especially helpful to me because this is a 30-60 right triangle. That's one of our special right triangles. We also have the isosceles right triangle as a special right triangle. And it has rules governing the relationships between the 3 side lengths. You were given this piece of information, the hypotenuse, right? So even though it said we've been finding these in alphabetical order, let's do this. Hypotenuse is 4. So the short leg is always, always, always half the length of the hypotenuse in a 30-60 right triangle. Always. So that means it's 2 inches. And no calculation involved other than some mental math to divide 4 by 2. Not only that, but the long leg, this one up here, the length of y, is always, always, always in a 30-60 right triangle, the short leg times the square root of 3. 2 times the square root of 3 is about 3.5 inches. If you're observant, you save yourself a lot of work. 30-60 right triangle. Make sure you notice that. 3.5 inches for the long leg. Okay, let's move on to number 9. All right, let's find X. Right here we have 3 pieces of information. Forget Y and Z right now. We're not trying to find them. So we have our right triangle. We have, we're missing an angle measure. So we know we're going to use an inverse function of sine, cosine, or tangent. But the question is which one? Now, they've tried to fool you by putting this sort of inverted triangle here. The right angle's up at the top. But this is the hypotenuse over here, right? This is a leg. Here's our angle. So it's the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse. All right. So that makes this cosine, because the adjacent over the hypotenuse is cosine. Our 2 knowns are the adjacent leg and the hypotenuse. And so we have to use the inverse function. So when we do that, we get 56 degrees. Let's go back to the calculator and put that in and see what we have. So we said cosine, right? So this one, second, or inverse cosine, 20 over 36. 20 divided by 36. It tells us that's a 56-degree angle, which you could see right here. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint slide. All right. Here's where we were, 56 degrees. Now we can easily figure out y using the same method that we've been doing, triangle sum theorem. 180 minus 90 minus 56 is 34. All right, so that means that this is 34 degrees. So I know the 3 angles now, and I'm asked to find the last side length. Once again, we know 5 out of our 6 pieces. We know all 3 angles. We know 2 of the sides. We've got to find the 3rd side. Now, let's see. What to use? You got choices. So I use the tangent. Now, you don't have to do that if you don't want, but the tangent of 56 equals z over 20, right? So you could have used, instead, you could have used the cosine of 56 and then had 20 over 36. Or you could have used the 34 and used the tangent 3420 over z, you got options. Or you could have used the 34 and done cosine over hypotenuse. You got options because you have so much information now. All right, but I thought that this was pretty easy to use. So you're multiplying both sides by 20 to undo that division. That gives you 20 times the tangent of z. All right, let's go. It says it's 29.7 here. Let's go prove it. So 20 times the tangent of 56. So 20 tangent 56. One of the reasons I made the choices I made was because I want you to see how each of the tools used. And so this is a chance for us to use another tool that we haven't necessarily used that much in this process yet. Okay, so here you go. Get back to where we are. We had already done that. And we had started with this. That's 29.7 for side length. And there's number 9. We found all 3 of those things using our tools. All right, last one. You made it to the end. All right, we're supposed to find angle x here. It's x degrees of angle A. All right, and this one, that's all you have to do is find 1 this time. What are the 3 pieces of information? My unknown is an angle. My knowns are these 2 sides. All right, that's the opposite leg from x over the hypotenuse. So since we're finding an angle, we're using inverse function here. And so this one is how we set it up, that the inverse of sine, 53 over 64. Let's check that on the calculator. Let's come out to 56 degrees. All right, what do we have here? 53 divided by 64. 55.6. That's 56 degrees. Rounding to the nearest whole degree. All right, there it is. That's the whole review. So hopefully you made it all the way through. And best of luck to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a geometric day.